While you've been busy living your life, the Department of Veterans Affairs has been busy too. They've quietly rolled out 7 pretty significant rule changes. And listen, these aren't just minor tweaks to some paperwork. We're talking about major policy shifts that could completely change the benefits you've earned.
So that's the big question, right? Did the VA just change everything without you even knowing about it? 'Cause, let's be honest, they don't exactly send out a press release to every veteran. They publish these things in the Federal Register, which who reads that? So today, we're going to cut through all that red tape and bureaucratic language to show you exactly what's changed.
And I want to be crystal clear about this. We are not talking about something that might happen in the future. These aren't proposals. These are active rules on the books right now. They are already affecting veterans all across the country. What we're about to walk through, well, this is the new reality of VA benefits.
Okay, so here's the game plan. We're going to break down all 7 of these changes one by one. We're talking about how the VA is reviewing unemployability, that's TDIU, and how they're handling CNP exams. Then there are new hurdles for survivor benefits, mental health claims, and believe it or not, the entire appeals process. We'll also get into tougher standards for presumptive conditions and a really concerning overhaul of the fiduciary program.
All right, first up, this one hits right at the heart of economic stability for thousands of veterans. It's the dramatic tightening of reviews for total disability based on individual unemployability, or as you probably know it, TDIU.
So for anyone who might not be familiar, TDIU is an absolute lifeline. It basically says, hey, even if your disability rating isn't technically 100%, we know your service-connected conditions keep you from working, so you get compensated at that full 100% rate. It's crucial.
And here is where things have completely changed. See, it used to be that TDIU reviews were kind of sporadic. Usually something like reported income would trigger one. Not anymore. The VA has now set up a mandatory biennial review, that's every 2 years, for most vets on TDIU. This puts a constant burden on you to prove over and over again that you can't work. It creates this endless cycle of stress and paperwork.
Okay, let's group the next 2 rules together because they both create some pretty big new hurdles for veterans filing claims and for their surviving spouses. The bottom line here, proving your case just got a whole lot harder.
For years, the VA was really leaning into telehealth for CNP exams, which was a huge help, right? Especially for veterans with mobility issues or folks living out in rural areas. Well, that's changing. The new rule now mandates in-person, hands-on exams for complex conditions like traumatic brain injury or musculoskeletal problems. This could mean you have to travel hundreds of miles, taking on that physical and financial cost just to check a box for a new requirement that is totally non-negotiable.
And this next one, this makes it tougher for survivors trying to get dependency and indemnity compensation, or DIC. The VA now wants rigorous, verifiable proof of continuous cohabitation. But the real gut punch is the change to the 10-year rule. It used to be that if a veteran was rated 100% for 10 years before they passed, DIC was pretty much a given. Now, if that rating was ever, even temporarily reduced for a single month, that 10-year clock resets all the way back to 0.
You're probably noticing a theme here, and these next 2 rules just continue it. The VA is raising the bar for evidence. Let's look at how the standards for proof have gotten a lot tougher for both secondary mental health claims and presumptive conditions.
Okay, this is so important. If you're filing for a mental health condition that's secondary to a physical one, like, say, depression that stems from chronic pain, a simple doctor's note connecting the two just doesn't cut it anymore. You now need what they call longitudinal evidence. That means treatment notes over a long period of time. And you have to somehow prove that other big life events, like a divorce or losing your job, aren't the main cause. It's an incredibly high standard of proof, almost like a forensic investigation into your own life.
This next one is a classic case of the VA giving with one hand and taking away with the other. The good news? Yeah, they've added some new presumptive conditions for toxic exposures. The bad news? To actually qualify, you now have to prove you are exposed for a minimum amount of time. We're talking 30 or even 60 continuous days, and that the intensity was high. This requires a level of detail that military records from decades ago, well, they just don't have it.
Let's dig into rule number 5, which completely overhauls the appeals process. They've streamlined it, sure, but the new system is also incredibly rigid, highly structured, and comes with some truly unforgiving deadlines.
So here's the big takeaway. That old strategy of waiting to see what the VA decides before you gather up all your best evidence, that's gone. The new system punishes any kind of delay. You are now forced to front-load your entire claim.
That means you have to make a huge strategic decision right at the very beginning about which appeal lane to pick, and you better have all your evidence ready to go.
And this number, 90 days, is now absolutely critical. If you're appealing to the Board of Veterans' Appeals and you want to submit new evidence, you have to file it no later than 90 days before your hearing. If you miss that deadline, the evidence is out. It's just rejected. This completely gets rid of the old flexibility you had to submit evidence right up until the hearing. It demands a whole new level of organization and precision.
And finally, we get to the seventh, and frankly, maybe the most troubling rule change. This one brings in sweeping new restrictions on the fiduciary program, and it directly affects how benefits are managed for our most vulnerable veterans.
At the very core of this new rule is something called a mandatory centralized spending plan. So if a fiduciary, who is often a family member, is managing a veteran's funds, they now have to submit a detailed annual budget to the VA for approval. And any big expense that falls outside of that pre-approved budget, well, that requires another formal request and another long wait. And it gets even more restrictive. Fiduciaries are now required to use VA-approved banks that have specific tracking systems, basically giving the VA a real-time window into the veteran's finances. On top of that, there's a new three-strike policy, which means a fiduciary can be removed and fast for what might just be minor paperwork errors. This is a huge shift in power, prioritizing VA control over a veteran's own financial freedom and flexibility.
You know, when you step back and look at all 7 of these changes together, this quote just says it all, doesn't it? The VA has moved the goalposts. They've fundamentally changed the game on what it takes to get, to keep, and to manage the benefits that you earned.
And there's a very clear common thread that connects every single rule we've talked about. It's a systemic shift. The VA is moving the burden of proof, the administrative burden, squarely onto the shoulders of the veteran. The benefit of the doubt is no longer in your favor.
So, after hearing all of that, the big question is, what do you do now? The days of just passively waiting to hear from the VA are over. You need a new battle plan. You have to be ready to prepare and to fight back effectively.
Okay, here is your action plan. It's 3 steps. Step 1, be proactive. Do not wait for a letter from the VA. If you're on TDIU, start gathering statements from your family and old employers for that 2-year review right now. Step 2, document everything meticulously. That means getting copies of joint leases to prove cohabitation for a DIC claim, or keeping detailed pain journals to build that longitudinal evidence for a mental health claim. Your records have to speak directly to these new, tougher standards. And third, consult an expert. A veteran service officer, a VSO, or an attorney is now more important than ever to help you build a winning strategy right from the start.
Look, your benefits, your healthcare, your family's financial future, it all hinges on taking immediate action and preparing with incredible precision. The VA designed these new rules to be hurdles. Understanding them is the only way you can make sure that these quiet changes don't become a very loud denial for you and your family. And all of this leaves us with one final, pretty sobering question to think about. With this massive shift towards administrative efficiency over the benefit of the doubt for the veteran, is this the new normal?
A special thank you to MarketUS.com for furnishing us this information. You can reach them at MarketUS.com or call them at 954-636-3232. Before we go, this deep dive was created by the MarketUS.com team. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. It's right below the subscribe link.